I'm Clark, and this is from Intruder to Ally, a hacker's guide to demand gen. So let's jump in. Who am I? Excellent question. I'm Clark, Barron, 10 plus years experience in B2B marketing. I'm a demand gen consultant. I'm a cybersecurity marketer, and I'm a content creator. I recently launched the Darkest Funnel and Demand Gen Therapy on LinkedIn. Check them out. So before we get started, I do want to make a very important distinction. Hacker does not necessarily mean bad guy. So throughout the presentation, when we say hacker, we're not saying criminal, because hacker can mean obviously a variety of things. Hacker actually is a person skilled in information technology who uses their technical knowledge to achieve a goal or overcome an obstacle within a computerized system by non-standard means. Now, this could define a lot of different types of people in a lot of different ways, right? A lot of different situations. We've all heard growth hacker before, for example, obviously, among tons of others. However, specifically in cybersecurity, the space in which I'm in, there are two main types of hackers: white hat and black hat. White hat, they're the good guys. Penetration testers, security researchers, social engineers. Those are all on the good team, trying to make things safer and more secure. However, on the opposite side of that coin are black hat hackers. These are your malicious actors. These are threat actors. They are criminals. Basically, these are the bad guys that make the news, right? So, let's play a game. Is everybody ready? All right, it's gonna be pretty simple, and here's what we're gonna do. To win, you have to do one thing. That's it. Orchestrate a successful marketing campaign that fuels qualified pipeline growth. That's it. Simple, right? I'm sure some of you right now are going, hey, I get paid to do that. Okay, awesome. Hold on. There's actually one thing, okay? Let me introduce you to your audience. Their contact information actually isn't available anywhere. And if you happen to think you've gotten their contact information, it's pretty much going to be incorrect about 95% of their time. Any email that you're going to send them is actually never going to hit their inbox. They're not going to fill out a form. If they do, there's a really highly likely chance that that information will be incorrect. And they're definitely not going to click on a link on anything. There's an excellent chance they'll never see any of your ads whatsoever. There's a 100% guarantee they're not going to answer the phone. And they can spot marketing efforts coming from a mile away. Why? Because they are the ultimate skeptic. So, we good? How you feeling about that campaign? Good? Great? Okay, congratulations. Welcome to cybersecurity marketing. So, this is from Intruder to Ally. So let's actually get into the guide. We've been talking about cybersecurity and hackers and marketing and demand gen. So what does any of that actually have to do with marketing, right? Well, your audience that I introduced you to are actually cybersecurity buyers. So the reason you're not going to be able to find their contact information is because we're dealing with world-class experts at securing data and making it private and unavailable. So let's say you're on some platform trying to get a major list of contact information, right? There's an excellent chance that's not going to be there, or it's going to be incorrect or outdated. Now, I mentioned that emails will never hit their inbox. You know, Gmail natively has spam filters, right? A lot of stuff gets caught in mine. So imagine the kind of caliber tools that high-level cybersecurity buyers are dealing with. Do you really think you can get in that inbox? Because trust me, it's really tough. You know, when we talk about forms and driving conversions, a lot of that information is going to be incorrect because while you might have an asset, a digital asset that they really want to download, don't think that just because you have business email or work email that there aren't plenty of free and paid services out there where you can generate one of those instantly. That leads us on a wild goose chase. So a lot of us using Chrome or whatever browser you use, we can install ad blockers. Again, same with spam filters and firewalls. Imagine what these guys have. Wow. So they'll actually never answer the phone either because they don't have time to save time. A lot of the cybersecurity buyers that I've talked to get upwards of 100 touches a day, cold outreach all the time. Robo killers, their phone's on silent, not going to happen. And the reason that they can spot these things coming a mile away is because they've been dealing with it for years. They are one of the most highly sought after buyers in B2B, period. And that makes them the ultimate skeptic. The line of work that they're in, that just comes natural. So one of the things that when I first got into cybersecurity, for example, I started to notice all this and I started to question, why are they like this? It's weird, right? Kind of. This is the one thing I was trying to figure out. It's almost like they're playing defense for some reason. But what are they actually defending against? It's not like I'm trying to attack them, am I? And most importantly, why? Is it just annoying? I don't know. But I do know that they know exactly what we're trying to do the whole time. They know how we're going to do it, and they know exactly what to do to stop it. And that's when it hit me. And I will never forget the exact moment that I realized this, and it completely changed the way I look at marketing forever. Marketing is can you guess it? Yep, you guessed it. Everybody say it with me. Marketing is a cyber attack. Yeah, I know, right? So let's actually dive in before anybody freaks out, right? So if you break down the high-level architecture of a cyber attack, this is actually what you get, okay? So step one is recon. This is what malicious actors will do when they're trying to learn everything they can about their potential target. Sound familiar? Well, as a marketer, you may or may not call this personas. Step two is weaponize, right? So this is the point where they develop the methods in which to infect their target, okay? And if you have got to get a message to your audience as a marketer, what are you going to develop? Content. So step three, deliver. This is how a malicious actor actually gets the payload to the target, right? But of course, obviously you know this by a much better name, demand gen. Step four, exploit. This is finding which vulnerabilities are best suited to aid in the delivery. Okay, now, of course, these are different in different industries, but how could we be good marketers if we didn't find out exactly what our buyers' pain points are? Step five is install. This is when we're going to establish a greater foothold on the target. Maybe they've converted, whatever. Okay, so now we're looking to expand. Well, we don't really have time for that. So what can we install? Well, who here's written miles of workflows in HubSpot like I have? Okay, yep, you're absolutely correct. It's automation. Now, here's where it gets good. Step six is control. This is where we want to establish complete control over the connection and completely own that relationship. This should sound familiar to marketers because no matter where they go or what they try to do, we're going to find them, right? Or we're going to retarget them. So step seven, maintain. This one's actually pretty simple. We've completely owned the relationship to this point, so we just want to maintain the status quo, right? Well, kind of. But at this point, we want to keep them on the hook for as long as possible. And of course, leave it to marketers to come up with a really innocuous sounding term like nurture. And there you have it. Now, here's the crazy part. I'm sure some of you were thinking something else before I made each comparison. I'm sure you picked up on kind of where I was going with that. But even worse, regardless of what you were thinking the answer might be, you're probably still correct in whatever you're assuming. There's so many things that we do as marketers that fit this framework exactly. What? This was crazy to me. Once I realized this, it mind blown, and it just kind of opened up the floodgates for really exploration. I've been pretty vocal about this, and I think it's really important as marketers to force ourselves to look at things from a really, really different perspective. And the responses I got were pretty interesting, actually. Finally, somebody gets it. And you guys wonder why we're tired of marketing crap. Good work. This is a fantastic perspective to have. Did it never occur to any of you that this is why we don't engage? These were all buyers who listen to me talk about this stuff and go, yeah, that makes sense. We wonder why everyone hates the B2B buying experience. Now, look, I totally get it. You may be thinking, sure, this is a neat concept that might work in your space. It's a really good hook. Cool, I get it. But let's say, regardless of what you think about Gartner, okay, they're reporting that B2B buyers spend only 17% of the total buyer journey interacting with a human. And that 17% is split between all of the vendors that they've interacted with. And 44% of millennials prefer to have no interaction with human beings whatsoever. Not B2C, B2B. They don't want to deal with anyone. The fact is, every single pillar that B2B sales and marketing was built on is not long for this world. The expectations of buyers are exponentially evolving, and it takes admitting to ourselves that the tactics that we're currently using to the more evolved and aware buyer look like a crime. So does this mean that all marketers are malicious actors? No, absolutely not. That's not what we're saying, because intent matters. Now, are we the cool growth hackers that we think we are? Remains to be seen. We'll see. But it does say that if we don't become a little more self-aware, we're going to be in a world of hurt. So what does all this mean for us? Well, it means that we're completely out of touch with our audience. The fact is, we don't know them, right? Why? Because they don't fit into the boxes and funnels that we're trying to force them in. Because they're not personas. They're people. So step one, change your mindset. This is the big thing I learned when I first realized the whole marketing campaign cyber attack comparison, right? Understand that what we're currently doing is just not sustainable, right? Our audience is getting smarter, more evolved. They're starting to see this stuff as well. I just use the cybersecurity buyers as a canary in the coal mine as to a taste of things to come. So practice some self-awareness and some empathy when you're developing your campaigns, and evaluate them from the perspective of your audience. Now, I know that marketers are the easiest people in the world to market to, because we're super eager to jump into a funnel and see what happens, right? But what we've actually got to do is start talking to our audience. We've got to start talking to our buyers, our current customers, in a real, meaningful way. So step two, get out of the echo chamber. Now, what do we mean by that? The LinkedIn marketing echo chamber, honestly, is just making us dumber. Marketing advice is rarely applicable to your org's situation. So stop following all the big influencers, and here's what you do. Start following your ICP. Engage with them in a meaningful way. Provide value and ask for nothing in return. Because if you go follow the people that will actually be able to bring you value, your world will change. And that value is their expertise. Because if you're genuine, if you're authentic, they will tell you everything you need to know to be awesome at your job. You just have to listen. So step three is rally the troops. The buyer journey in B2B is becoming darker and darker. And if we don't do something to shed some light on it, honestly, we're going to lose it. And I'm not talking about just attribution. I'm talking about a buyer that is becoming exponentially more aware. And honestly, they're becoming more exhausted by this process that honestly, we've just made up and forced them into, right? This is not the way they prefer to buy. and it's only getting worse for us. And it's a process that, honestly, if we're honest with ourselves, we know it's kind of bad. So why do we keep doing it? So this is what learning the hard way looked like for me when I started to realize these things and look at marketing and demand gen holistically in a much different way. The overarching narrative internally is that we want to start talking like actual human beings, right? Not what we think a persona wants to hear. Okay. So, in terms of messaging, what I did is I went and I evaluated all the messaging in all of our ads, our landing pages, our website, and all the social posts. In addition to that, I audited all the outreach on the sales side for tone, style, and substance. There's a lot to be learned from just going in to all of that copy, all of those emails. You'll realize that B2B has got to become more humanized. Now, there's also a really interesting thing I did, because when it comes to tactics, obviously the tactics, if you're using the comparison that I made, those tried and true tactics, it's just not cutting it anymore. So what if we got feedback from the audience, from our customers, from our prospects, as to what works best for them? Often we segment by personas, or this, or this, or this. You know what? It actually takes no time at all to segment those based on their preferences. That way, you're not bugging them here, bugging them there. It's on their terms. It puts them in control. The feedback was absolutely amazing and changed a lot of what we do. So when it comes to alignment, everyone has got to be on the same page, because making a shift in the brand voice can be really, really difficult to align, but it's absolutely necessary. These type of efforts, when you take a step back, when you take a step away and look at how you're approaching marketing holistically, before you even get to strategy or demand gen, or like, what do we think about it as human beings? Everybody's got to be on the same page. And this might mean having some really difficult conversations at times with internal stakeholders, or, everybody's been in a situation where you hear a lot of, well, this is the way we've always done it. When it comes to demand gen, there's tons of information about going from lead gen to demand gen. Well, let's take that a step further. Let's make sure that we're giving access to the audience, to the customers, to marketers, so they can get the best resources and information humanly possible. Because that's what we've got to change. We've got to start talking to human beings. So there are way too many useless acronyms, right? Too many arguments about what an MQL actually is. And there's actually way too many empty pipelines out there. Now, look, it's okay to take a step back and reevaluate what we're doing as marketers, okay? It's okay to give ourselves a break sometimes. But this is why we have leaders, mentors, communities, resources, just like demand, available to us that help us navigate all these murky waters, okay? But what I've learned is that what's not okay is to fail to educate yourself, to fail to change your perspective and look at things from a completely different point of view. And it's not okay to not respect the people that you're trying to market to. Too often, marketers don't realize the kind of powers that we have, and we actually have to make a choice to use them for good. So regardless of what we think about, the cyber attack marketing campaign comparison, what we want to consider is, are we looking at this from a different perspective? Because we've been drinking our own Kool-Aid for far too long, and our buyers have had about a gut full of it. Everybody says that B2B has got to catch up to B2C. That day has come and gone. It's time to get on the same page and get the ball rolling right now. So let me ask you one final question. What kind of hacker do you want to be? Thank you so much, everybody. I really do appreciate it. I sincerely hope that I've brought you some value today. I hope that you and everybody in your organization can go back and look at these things from the 10,000-foot view and really take into consideration who we're trying to market to. Not everybody's going to fit in a bucket or a funnel or whatever other kind of thing you want to call it. It doesn't matter. We don't need more terms for things. We need more connections. We need more authentic relationships with our audience. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody, to Demand Metadata. This has been absolutely awesome. I'm Clark Barron, and I will see you next time.